I'm here today with Dr. Joel Fuhrman. Dr. Joel, thank you very much for coming today. And I know you're very busy, taking time out of your day to be with us today. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. So for those of you who don't know Dr. Fuhrman already, let me give you a brief introduction. Dr. Joel Fuhrman, MD, is a board-certified family physician, 7-time New York Times best-selling author, and internationally renowned expert on nutrition and natural healing. He specializes in preventing and reversing disease through natural nutritional methods. Dr. Fuhrman is president of the Nutritional Research Foundation and on the faculty of Northern Arizona University Health Science Division. He coined the term nutritarian to describe a nutrient-dense eating style designed to prevent cancer, slow aging, and extend lifespan. For over 30 years, Dr. Fuhrman has shown that it is possible to achieve sustainable weight loss and reverse heart disease, diabetes, and many other illnesses using a smart nutrition and your diet. In his medical practice and through his books and television specials, he continues to bring this life-saving message to hundreds of thousands of people around the world. Wow, Dr. Fuhrman, I know that your work is so important, what you're doing. And I have to say that for me, I watched you as an expert being featured on many documentaries when I was first learning about nutrition. And so it comes real full circle to have you here today. So I wanted to start by asking you, how did you get interested in this nutrition science in the first place?
I guess it started from my father's interest. He was overweight and sickly with kidney problems and back problems. And he read Dr. Shelton's works from the American Natural Hygiene Society, with these books that he written in the 1950s and 60s. And at first I thought he was crazy, what he was thinking and what he was doing. But after a while, it made more sense. And I saw the benefits he got to him and to other people. And so I became more excited about it. And through my teenage years and early 20s, when I was on the United States World Figure Skating team. And eventually, when I got to my mid-20s, I realized I was so interested in going back to medical school or going back to the pre-medical, postgraduate pre-med program at Columbia so I could then apply to medical school because I'd finished college without the pre-medical requirements, but decided I'd get more fulfillment if I became a doctor specializing in nutritional medicine because I was really passionate about it.
That's so awesome. And I know we mentioned the nutritarian diet. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about it and why it's so unique.
Well, I use that term nutritarian to represent the dietary portfolio that includes all the most powerful anti-cancer foods, while at the same time eliminating those foods that promote aging or that are not healthful. So it's a super healthy way to eat with a wide diversification of food choices, particularly on different types of green vegetables, a lot of variety of mushrooms, onions. We have that acronym GBOMBS, GBOMBS, that stands for greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds. Seeds like flax seeds, chia seeds, sesame seeds, hemp seeds. And because these foods have the most scientific support for slowing aging and preventing cancer. And so, but you use them synergistically. When we have like nuts and seeds show tremendous protection against heart disease and strokes and cancer. But when you have them, so do green vegetables, when you put it together with beans and with onions, of course, then you get even stronger effects. So it's just designing a diet to be maximal lifespan extension. And what I'm saying right now, that the diet style that is most scientifically designed to extend human lifespan, preventing cancer and heart disease, is also most therapeutically effective. We want the body to reverse a chronic disease, for a person to recover from multiple sclerosis or asthma or rheumatoid arthritis or type 2 diabetes or headaches or fibromyalgia. It becomes much more effective for a person to recover from their what they're suffering from when they achieve this degree of nutritional excellence.
Yes. And I know you have a recent book, Eat for Life, which is that primarily about weight loss? That book?
Not really. I mean, it's about the healthiest way to eat to lose weight, and why diets that focus on calories and all types of fad diets do not succeed with people long-term losing weight, because you have to achieve nutritional adequacy in order to have your desire for calories to come back to normal. What I'm saying right now is, even though the book focuses on longevity, eating for nutritional excellence, and eating to prevent cancer and reverse disease, it discusses that the diet that's best designed for lifespan is also most effective for weight loss for a lot of different reasons. But one reason is that you can't eat unhealthfully and try to reduce calories, because you get an unrelenting drive to overeat when you're not being fulfilled with sufficient amount of micronutrients. And when you're eating foods that are relatively toxic, or when you're playing around with dangerous foods, you certainly build up more toxic waste products in the body, like free radicals and advanced glycation end products and urea and ammonia. You build up, and then you become very fatigued unless you chronically eat and chronically overeat. And your body actually gets acclimated to this brain stimulation from overeating calories, and particularly from foods that rush into the bloodstream rapidly, like salad, like oils and sugars, like honey, maple syrup, sugar, white flour. And white flour is a sugar equivalent, because it enters the bloodstream as sugar at the same speed as sugar does. So it has almost the exact same glycemic load. There's no biochemical difference from eating sugar with a spoon right out of a sugar bowl as there is to eating white bread. And it's not really a food, they're drugs. So I'm saying bagels and cookies and cake and breakfast and burger buns and pizza should be considered a drug, like cocaine or cigarettes. It's a drug effect on the brain. It stimulates, and because it rushes into the bloodstream with such a high degree of calories, that excites and lights up the areas of the brain that are excited by opiates. And you get addicted to that caloric rush and to that brain stimulation. Even people, they started so young in life, they don't even realize it until they try to stop eating those foods, and they realize, wow, an apple doesn't satisfy me. A bowl of vegetable bean soup, lentil soup with mushrooms and onions, and a salad and an apple is not satisfying. I need some more concentrated calories. I need a candy bar. I need some bread. I need some bagels. I got to have cookies. I got to have candy. I got to have ice cream, or I have to have a mouthful of dates. I can't be satisfied with a normal amount of food or a normal amount of calories. And it all has to do with all these factors that lead to the overconsumption, the need to overconsume calories just to feel normal. So we enable people over time to get rid of that need to overconsume calories by having the body get full of nutrients that then, of course, can control the apostat and allow you to get rid of your dopamine dependency on these overly stimulating foods. So the nutritarian diet is also unique in that most people in North America and Western Europe get most of their fat intake from animal fats or oils. And with the nutritarian diet, we get almost all our fat intake from nuts and seeds and avocado, not from animal fats and oils. And it has a completely different biological effect. I'm saying the opposite effect from taking walnut oil compared to a walnut, or sesame oil compared to sesame seeds, or even olive oil compared to olives, that when you use the oil, the caloric rush into the bloodstream is so strong, the calories into the bloodstream so rapidly that it stimulates, it becomes an appetite stimulant, and it induces overeating of calories. And it also, of course, leads to the rapid growth of fat on the body. It turns on fat storage hormones, like sugar does. Sugar turns up insulin too, which is a major fat storage hormone. But when you eat nuts and seeds, because the calories are absorbed so slowly, as opposed to oils that are derived from those whole foods, the slowly absorption of calories means that your body can preferentially burn it for energy without storing it as fat. And plus, the sterols and the stanols and some of the fibers in these higher fat foods pull fat out into the toilet bowl. And in the process of removing, so you don't even absorb all the fat present in the food. But when it does remove the fat, and when the fat passes through you, it attracts the oxidized LDL molecules, the bad actor that causes heart disease. So it removes pro-inflammatory fats as it's taking fats in the stool. So there's a lot of beneficial effects we get from eating nuts and seeds. That's why we see a 40% reduction in cardiovascular death from people eating nuts and seeds. And especially when you're cutting out oils and animal fats and using nuts and seeds for sauces and dressings and desserts. And, it's a whole different way of thinking about food and a different way of cooking.
And very delicious too. I know that the recipes are amazing. And so you talked a bit about this, but breaking the vicious cycle that of these toxic foods that we get addicted to even very young. Is that just about eating the right foods? And how long does it take before you kind of get over that vicious cycle?
That's a really hard question, because it's important, because the best way to get rid of addiction is abstinence. But you have to substitute other foods that taste good. Like we're saying, we have to make great tasting foods that satisfy people. And people are satisfied with chewing, with the bulk, with the fiber, with the good taste, with eating bigger portions. So we're able to eat larger portions of food that are not as calorically concentrated. So they feel satisfied. But they do feel, most people are going to feel worse, not feeling better the first 5 days or so, because you're going through withdrawal. It's like stopping smoking. You're stopping drinking coffee, you're stopping drinking alcohol, or stop smoking cigarettes, or stop drinking, snorting cocaine, whatever. When you're not going to feel better when you're stopping your things that are harmful. You feel worse as you go through withdrawal. And then there's that emotional attachment to these things that you feel that you're so attracted or attached to. You have this illicit love affair with things that are self-destructive. So that's why when people come to my retreat in San Diego, where we have people with food addiction who are overweight come and stay here for a few months. People can stay from to 30 to 90 days, but I recommend people stay 90 days when they can, because the longer they're here, the more we can build their taste muscle, the more education they can get, the more they can learn about psychological and emotional aspects of food addiction, and the more they're abstaining from their addictive triggers, and they don't even want them anymore when enough time passes. I published a study in 2010 called The Changing Perceptions of Hunger on a High Nutrient Density Diet in the journal Nutrition Journal. And we documented that it took 6 months for most people to feel that their taste was enhanced, so they prefer eating healthfully. And it took an average of 5 or 6 months for them to develop hunger as an upper chest sensation, as opposed to feeling your stomach cramping, your head feeling a headache. This is withdrawal or toxic hunger, where your withdrawal symptoms. You feel like you got to eat because you're withdrawing from the toxicity of your diet. And most people mistakenly think that fatigue and headaches and stomach fluttering, they think those are symptoms of hunger. And I'm saying that those are not hunger, those are withdrawal from an unhealthy diet, because when we feed people a healthy nutritarian diet, those so-called symptoms of hunger go away, at least 90% of the time. And we regain a different sense of hunger that's focused in your mouth and throat and the upper part of your chest, that makes food taste great and makes you feel like you just want to eat food and enjoy it more. What I'm saying is, most people are eating so many calories and they're eating so poorly that they've lost their connection with instinctual or true hunger. And therefore they have no guide as to how much to eat. And true hunger exists to maintain your lean body mass, not to put fat on the body. You're only hungry to protect your lean body mass. So it's the fine computer that directs you the precise amount of calories to eat each day. And it makes food taste better when you eat. So all you really have, if you're healthy enough, all you really have to do is eat when you're hungry and not eat when you're not hungry. And you're going to be at your perfect weight. If you're overweight, then you have eaten outside of the demands of true hunger. You've eaten because of recreational eating, emotional eating, or because of the demands of toxic hunger, which is a form of withdrawal from a diet that's somewhat deficient in certain nutrients or too much toxicity. So your body gets withdrawn, the toxins circulate and you feel fatigued, and you got to eat to keep your energy up to stop the detox process. Because detox and repair, the self-healing, is heightened in the non-digestive state. So we have more healing takes place when we're not eating food. So what happens is when people stop digesting food and their body is detoxing more or healing more, they don't feel well. and they mistakenly think that's hunger, and they eat, which then stops the self-cleaning or stops the healing, because they feel better if they chronically eat or they keep eating all the time and keep the digestive tract moving, going all the time. So they have to become overweight. So of course, most people, actually 89% of the population is overweight. And that's in the United States,
Yeah, that's a staggering number for sure.
Staggering.
Very staggering. So you mentioned about your retreat in San Diego. So what's kind of the process, or what do you go through with the people that go through that retreat?
Well, they go through a whole educational process when they're here, not just my lectures, but also working with our food addiction counselors. We have, exercise specialists that devise an exercise program commensurate with their ability, and they're learning how to change the way they see, to be happier and more satisfied with their life. So they're really here to be able to, the main purpose to come is not just to lose weight when you're here, but people come in and lose 50, 60 pounds when they're here. But what if they're 150 pounds overweight or 100 pounds overweight and they go home and gain the weight back again? We want to have them be thoroughly educated with the tools they need to enjoy this fully when they go home, and to know how to do it and stay with it, so they can continue to lose the weight and maintain the benefits they accrued from being here. So there are other health retreats and other health places people can go to, but the problem is that either they stay too short a period of time, or the process is too aggressive. Sometimes the process is wrong and people don't lose weight. And sometimes people are put on fast or just eating sprouts or just only sprouts. And it's not something that they can maintain when they go home, or would want to maintain when they go home. If your diet is too calorically suppressed, through like the intermittent fasting or the water fasting or juice fasting or sprout diet is too extreme, then people just obsess more about what they're missing when they go home, and they just bounce back and rebound into more binge eating again. And it reduces the chance of long-term success. So we're giving them a diet here that is still going to accomplish 20 pounds of weight loss on the average the first month, and about 15 pounds the second month. So it's usually about 35 pounds for 2 months, but each person is different, but still, I always say, if you're not on a nutritarian diet, unless you're losing about 2 pounds a week at the minimum. So when you go home, you want to lose you're losing 8 to 10 pounds a month, and you're not on the program. So they know how to make it taste good with enough food volume, so they can still lose 2 to 3 pounds a week when they go home, at least 2 pounds a week. If they're overweight, not losing 2 pounds a week, then they're not reducing their inflammation, lowering their estrogen, lowering their insulin, and lowering the production of noxious compounds like estrogen. Estrogen too raises when you're overweight and eating it. So the point is that we get people fixed up, and they continue the benefit when they go home. The whole idea is to stay here a long time to prevent the chance of recidivism, or a desire to eat foods that aren't good for you. Because why would a person behave and eat in a manner that's not in their own best interest? Why should you want to eat foods that shorten your lifespan? And so obviously it's people are addicted to those foods, and they can't stop eating those foods. We should enjoy foods and get most pleasure from and desire the foods that are good for us. And so that's an accomplishment, to be able to learn how to make foods, like healthy foods, taste good, and feel that you're satisfied with enough of it, with the taste and the volume of food that makes you feel satisfied, so you can enjoy eating this way. And now eating instinctually the diet that you like to eat, and the amount of foods you feel best eating, but it's the right food and the right amount of food for you, and you can maintain your healthy, most ideal weight for the rest of your life.
Perfect. Now, when it comes to, nutrition working better than drugs for most diseases, I know you've said that before. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yes, I'm an anti-doctor, because most of what doctors do is not in the person's best interest, because it's like a permission slip. Because if you have high blood pressure, what you really should do is get fit, exercise, cut out the salt, eat healthier, lose weight, and get rid of your high blood pressure. But instead of teaching people how to get rid of their high blood pressure, we give them a drug which allows them to continue the same diet that caused the problem to begin with. So while you're on a drug and your blood pressure is looking better, you're still advancing the pathology of your blood vessels that are causing the pathology to advance and get worse. The same thing with statin drugs for lowering cholesterol, with diabetes drugs for lowering glucose. For almost any, we have a drug-centered mentality. And I always say half of what we eat feeds our own needs, and the other half feeds the needs of our doctor, which means that we eat ourselves into sickness, and then we go to doctors and they give us drugs for it. And the drugs accelerate your demise. They don't protect you, because the drugs just give you make you think you're okay now that your blood pressure looks okay. They think you're okay because your blood glucose and blood cholesterol looks better. People say, oh, I don't have high blood pressure. I'm taking medication. My blood pressure is normal. Well, your blood pressure is not normal. If you took the medications away, it would be high. And it's actually getting worse while you're on the medication. You're not even recognizing that it's getting worse. So now you've taken away responsibility for living a healthy life. And the inevitable consequence is you're going to take 20, 25 years off your life because of medical care. If you never had that medical care availability, and people have to change their diet, cut out the salt and oils, the fried foods, all the meats and all this cheeses and sugars and salts, and start to eat more vegetables and exercise more and get slimmer and get healthier, and they could get rid of their conditions. And people listening are going to say, sure, we can lose weight and get rid of diabetes and high blood pressure and heart disease, but who would want to live like that? Because I want to enjoy my life more and eat whatever I want to eat. And that's the myth they're taught. And that's the myth they believe in. And that's how food addicts talk. Because when you're an addict, you always come up with some rationalization or some excuse or reason why you think it's okay, why you think you're living, doing the best, making the best choices for your life. And you're not, because you're not enjoying food more or enjoying your life more when you're behaving in self-destructive food behaviors and when you're a food addict. You're enjoying your life less. And they don't recognize that, obviously. But the food, it actually affects the brain negatively. It accelerates aging of brain cells. It leads to memory loss and dementia. And then also, those food choices leads to dysthymia, which is a mild form of depression where people are not passionate about life or living. They're just living to make money so they can spend the money on addictive substances to fuel the brain. And they think they're happy living in this addictive cycle of where they're not really excited about life or passionate about living, and they think they're enjoying their life more because they're imbibing in alcohol and addictive foods,
Yeah. And there's a big difference between living and actually having a healthy and vibrant life, for sure. And that's really what we all should be striving for, is to be vibrant as we're getting older, for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, what about is possibility of treating cancer by eating a healthy life, healthy diet? Is there evidence to support that?
Absolutely. There's an incredible amount of evidence, and we mentioned earlier my book Eat for Life, which has more than 2,000 scientific references documenting what you're just asking right now. And what I'm saying right now is that the same foods and dietary portfolio that's been shown to prevent cancer has also been shown to extend lifespan and prevent recurrence in people who already have cancer. And most of the studies on the protective ability of these foods against cancer are done on patients with cancer. Like, for example, a study on lignans, which is found in flax and chia seeds, let's say, was done on a study of women who had a diagnosis of breast cancer. They took these women who had a diagnosis of breast cancer and they followed them for 10 years. And those with a third of a milligram of lignin a day, and don't forget, a teaspoon of ground flax seeds has 7 milligrams of lignin. These people had a third of 1 milligram, just a mere fraction, a 20th of that, of a teaspoon of flaxseed a day, compared to none. And those people who had the lignans had a 71 decreased risk of death from cancer followed over that decade they were followed from. Now, likewise, a large study, an Asian study, showed that women who ate 10 grams of mushrooms a day, the size of your thumb, had a 64% low risk of developing breast cancer. The same thing, studies of now we give mushrooms to people who have breast cancer or have prostate cancer, and we see reduction of death from those diseases. But if you're mixing together green vegetables, green cruciferous vegetables, and green tea, so I'm saying there's 3 types of green substances that have tremendous power against cancer. One is simple green lettuce. Just the lettuce is nature's richest source of sulfoquinavose, which is the fuel for the healthy bacteria in the gut. And then you have the green cruciferous vegetables like bok choy and kale and collards and watercress, which produce the isothiocyanates, the ITCs, which have incredibly powerful anti-cancer effects. And then we have things like green tea, which have the ECGCs within those compounds that have anti-cancer effects. So yeah, we're combining all these anti-cancer compounds together. For example, the study where I said that women had a 64% lower chance of developing breast cancer, if they had green tea and mushrooms every day, then the risk of developing breast cancer reduced by 89%. So we're talking about tremendous, and the same thing. So what I'm saying is we have studies that show prevention of cancer, and we have studies that show people who have cancer who do the same food choices and nutrients that prevent cancer also live longer, and it prevents cancer recurrence or helps people or slow cancer growth or enables the body to recover from cancer. So there's definitely, and don't forget, many people that are diagnosed with cancer have an area that's a gray area. It's not a relatively metastatic advanced cancer. It's more something that looks like it's going to turn into a cancer. And earlier in the disease process, and a good example is prostate cancer and breast cancer, where a lot of people diagnosed with prostate cancer and breast cancer are before the stages where we have a definitive advanced cancer that's metastasizing. And the earlier those early stage cancers are even more responsive to nutritional interventions and can be reversed. And I have many people with prostate and early stage breast cancer who completely reversed their conditions and went back to normal again with no treatment at all, except for the diet, of course, and the supplements.
Well, I like that. I like that treatment. That's the best treatment ever. And what's different about the nutritarian diet than something like the Blue Zone diet or some other plant-based diets? Is there a difference there?
Yes, tremendous difference. Blue zones are somewhat better eating than average American, but they're not ideal way of eating. They only extend lifespan like 6 to 8 years. And they're just eating foods that are more indigenous to or culturally eaten in those areas, but they're not scientifically designed to have the wide variety of foods and to have the foods that have the most powerful anti-cancer effects. They're not paying attention to eating, different varieties of mushrooms and raw scallion and onion and different varieties of green cruciferous vegetables and having a big salad every day. It's like you take some of the like Okinawa, Sardinia, the areas in Costa Rica, the areas, we're talking about areas that are doing better than the average American is doing. That doesn't make you a great diet just because the Mediterranean diet, it's doing better than the average American is doing. It's still not a good diet. It's just, the nutritarian diet, we want to extend lifespan 20, 25 years longer with great health. So I'm saying the average lifespan should be between 97 and 107 years old. Not 8 years longer, but 25 years longer. We should be able to live past 95 in excellent health. And this is what I've observed over the last 35 years of my medical practice, is that these elderly individuals who have come to me with medical problems in their 50s and 60s and 70s, who we fixed with a nutritarian diet, are now living or have lived into their late 90s or early 100s without reoccurrence of those medical problems. I'm seeing tremendous lifespan enhancement through what we're talking about here, a nutritarian diet. It's not just a regular plant-based diet. You could just be eating, a potato-based diet or a lot of rice, like a macrobiotic diet, or a fruitarian diet, or we're talking about a diet that has all the variety of the healthiest foods, which then makes it more sustainable and also makes it taste better because you're not excluding, certain food groups. But in any case, it's also obviously we're not giving fried foods and oils and things we're not destroying the food value. So the cooking methods are important too, not to darken, blacken, brown, fry, make crispy. We're mostly water-based cooking methods. So there's a lot of features that makes it different. And also I'm recognizing some nutritional deficiencies that are present in plant-based or vegan diets that can shorten lifespan or lead to dementia or memory loss with aging. And those are predominant, those are not just vitamin B12, but DHA, EPA deficiency. I'm suggesting that it's very important for vegans and plant-based eaters to measure their omega-3 index to know their number for the omega-3 index so they can adjust the amount of the supplement they use. And we use vegan EPA DHA supplement, and the one I market, obviously, we keep refrigerated in dark glass. So when a person orders it, they can get a fresh product. And they can use the amount that assures their level is between 5 and 9, let's say on the blood test, to make sure they're in that sweet spot. Because more evidence has shown that lower levels are associated with a shrinkage of the brain, more susceptibility to Parkinson's disease, and overall to have increased risk, higher morbidity and mortality, shorter lifespan. So I'm saying right now we have tremendous amount of solid evidence with one study corroborating another study that lower levels of EPA and DHA could result in health impairment and later life tragedy. So we're very cognizant to assure people have DHA adequacy on a vegan diet. The last thing is zinc. Zinc has been shown to have beneficial effects when taken in supplemental form, especially as we age, because you absorb zinc poorly as you get older, and we absorb about half as much zinc from vegan diets compared to animal products. So as people are striving for the lifespan benefits of plant-based eating and getting rid of the accelerating of aging from eating animal protein, we're reducing our exposure to zinc because you get a readily absorbed source of zinc in animal foods. So taking some extra zinc to make up for that, because zinc insufficiency is linked to immunosenescence and neurologic and neurosenescence as well. In other words, linked to increased risk of loss of brain power with aging and loss of immune system power with aging. Because you're not going to die of heart attacks and cancers and strokes, and you're still could die of something like a pneumonia. And years ago, the leading cause of death was infection, even it's like a pneumonia. And we know that zinc supplementation or zinc adequacy is associated with much lower, about reducing the risk of pneumonia by more than half. So we're talking about achieving micronutrient adequacy and not missing any particular, trying to idealize the exposure to every nutrient while we remove foods that might accelerate aging or accelerate disease.
And that's so important. For our audience today, what would be one simple thing that you would say to the audience today if they were to make one positive change today to impact their health and make a big difference in their health? What would that one thing be? Lunch.
It would be lunch. So I'm recommending that people eat for lunch a large salad, where I said it has lettuce and cruciferous greens in it, and onion or scallion in it. You can put tomatoes and other things you would like in there. We usually have lunch here at the retreat. We have a big salad, a bowl of vegetable bean soup, and some fruit for dessert. But in the salad, the dressing on the salad is critical. And so we're using a healthy dressing made from nuts and seeds, which helps facilitate the anti-cancer phytochemicals from the salad you're chewing very well. So I'm saying that more than 200 studies show that raw vegetables have the most consistent and powerful association with the reduction of cancers of all type. And my mantra is to eat at least once a day, make the salad the main dish, and have a big salad. So did you have your big salad for lunch today? That's where you start. And then you could make a big pot of healthy soup on the weekend, and you could use the same soup for days at a time. And you could make a salad dressing every few days. But we make, I have a lot of healthy salad dressing recipes that people can make on their own, whether you're putting a healthy dressing on the salad. You're not pouring, 500 calories of poor health on 50 calories of vegetables. You're eating a super healthy dressing with the healthy salad. So the place to start is clean up your lunch, make it a really super healthy lunch, and make salad the main dish there.